I did a video, it's been, I don't know, a month ago or so now, and it was entitled Ask Timmy. And I addressed, I think, one or two of those questions that came in on the comments or in the comments of that video. But I figured I would just open up my computer here and just go right down the line of all the comments and questions and just answer them off the cuff. There was a lot of questions that really I was like, I can't do a whole video about this. It'd turn into a little short. So I figured I could go through all. I think there's 103 rather, comments, and I'll just address them one by one. By the way, hello, my name is Timmy Gibson, former fundamental evangelical, Bible thumping, tongue talking, Holy Ghost rolling pastor. I spent 30 years as a pastor, 48 years as an evangelical Christian. Now I'm atheist, which just means I don't see enough evidence to convince me to continue to believe in this imaginary thing called God. All right. Looks like Mike made a comment, my 2 cents. Please keep building on this channel. You're so good at this, and you're unlike so many other channels like yours. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Keep it one channel. Oh, because I had asked a question, I think, in the video. This person, Stephen Williams, it looks like, was asking me a question because I think I asked, hey, what if I was to do cover other topics of just fun stuff that I love? And, should I do it on another day, right? Because if you know my channel, every Sunday, every Wednesday is when I do my deconstruction, agnostic, atheist, walking away from God stuff. And then I wanted to introduce just interesting things that I'm interested in. And so I thought, maybe I could do like Friday night, do a video, or just any other night or day rather, cover other things. And this person just said, Stephen just said, keep it on one channel, just maybe offer another subject on Fridays or something. And I like that idea. And that's what I did. I actually did a little video on Love is Blind, that Netflix reality TV series on love. It's a show that my wife and I really love. Okay. And then Lady Alex, I actually did address her question in its own video because it was worthy of it. And basically she asked, what is the factor that enables some people to break free from dogma and others that don't? I did a whole video about it. You should go check it out. The short answer for that is, who knows, right? I mean, who knows what's going on in the mind of people and what's going to reach them, what's going to trigger the mind, For me, it was even hard for me to pinpoint what exactly it was for me that after 48 years as a Christian, what got me to finally realize that, oh, wait, this isn't real. I really don't know this for sure because it was just like, what is it, death by 1,000 paper cuts kind of a thing. But I did have someone ask me, and I thought, like, this is stuck with me even to this day. When I was a Christian, I had someone who wasn't a believer in Jesus. I think he was a Buddhist or he was something else. And he said to me, and this is when I was a Christian. I might have to close that window. Do you see this? It was an overcast day, and now the sun's beating in. I don't want a bunch of lines across my face. Anyway, he asked me, what if you're wrong and the Buddhists are right? Or the Hindus are, like, what if what you're believing is wrong and they're right? That was profound because essentially that's what I would say, right, to, not now, but when I was a Christian, that's what I would have said to a Buddhist or a Hindu or a Muslim or a Jewish person, right? I would have said, what if you're wrong, right? Because Christianity is clearly the truth and you're living in a delusion. Clearly, I see the truth now, which is all religions are delusional. Yes, even yours. They're all delusional. It's all a delusion. belief in God. All right. Tattoo check. I'm not sure what that means, but hey, Timmy, God bless you. Michael from Puerto Rico. I have a question. What do you think about someone like Paul will say to the churches of today? This is his screen name is Jesus News Story. So this person is, I'm going to close that just until there we go. I honestly, I mean, I don't know. Jesus died 2,000 years ago. Jesus isn't alive today, despite what Christians think. If Jesus actually even existed, which I believe that he did, so don't get to hating me too much. I know there are mythicists out there who believe that Jesus never even existed. And, how would I know? I don't know. I'm just going to make the assumption that he actually did. So, I don't have an answer for that. I don't know. What would Paul say to the churches of today? Oh, I'm sorry. I misread that question. I was thinking of the screen name. What would Paul say to the churches of today? He's not assuming that he's still alive. He's just saying, what would he say? I don't know. Here's what I do know, though. The Christianity of today in the year 2025 is nothing even remotely like the Christianity of those in the year 500 or 1,000, right? I mean, it's just, and if you're a Bible scholar, have any kind of Bible knowledge at all, you know this, right? You more than anyone know this if you know church history and all that. Christianity has just so evolved and changed and been altered and added to. Do you know that I forget if it's the book of Mark or the book of Matthew? I think the final chapter, and I could be messing this up. Again, cuss and discuss down below, like, subscribe, do all the stuff. But I think it's either Matthew or Mark. There's like a whole chapter that even in the Bible that I still have over on my shelf, over in the commentary portion of the Bible, it says this was added later by a monk. Like, I think in the year 1200 or something. It's like, people think, this is my Bible. It's written by God. It's inspired by the Holy Spirit, and he watched over his word. Bullshit. Not true. Not at all true. Not even remotely true. And anybody that knows anything about the Bible, like, really, not Christians who just go to church on Sunday and hear whatever the preacher says. I don't mean those people. I'm talking about Bible scholars, theologians, like people that they really, really know. They know. It's a hodgepodge. Thank you, Wine Ross or Ryan Rose. Let's get this channel up to 100,000. Woo, woo, woo. Yeah, that'd be freaking great. I would love that. I wonder if you'd be comfortable. This one's from Cynthia Aboshell or something like that. I would wonder if you'd be comfortable discussing the Apocrypha or the Gnostic Gospels at some point. Maybe at some point, those were all heretical and writings of the devil when I was a Christian. So I never studied those at all. I knew they existed, but, that was the work of the devil. So I didn't want to have anything to do with it, right? I wanted to avoid the very appearance of evil. And anything not in the Bible is evil. It's so weird. It's just so weird, right? Come on. It's just so freaking weird. It just is. I know, and I was in it for 48 years. I can't believe it. Oh, Bun Lover says, Timmy, they want me to do a Timmy Gibson Reacts series. I'd love to do that, but I say it all the time. I don't edit. And eventually, as the channel grows, don't forget to subscribe. Yeah, I mean, right? If I really dream out into the future, dear Lord, I'd love to have like a, a small little studio here in the house and have people that edit and help do all of it. I mean, I'd like to. I have tons of ideas, right? Uh, Clearly, that's how I'm pumping out all these videos. These are just videos. This is just ideas that come up out of my mind, or they come out of books I read, or other videos that I watch. I'm like, ooh, that's a good topic. I mean, obviously, I get stuff from everywhere and anywhere. Um, but trust me when I say, I mean, this right here is my journal just for this year, and I mean, you can't see them, but I mean, that is just chocked full of ideas that I have for videos that I want to do. Um, and a lot of the video ideas I have, unfortunately, require editing. And so I did actually just talk to my neighbor across the street, though. And he had seen one of my videos and said, hey, man, I can edit and I want to get better at it. If you want to, do work together and I can help edit some videos. So be looking for that. In 2026, we're going to get some fun videos and merch. I'll get merch. I'll have my own coffee mug, I promise. Okay. This one comes from Cats and Dogs. Hi, Timmy. Love your videos. You definitely have the experience to talk about these things. Can you talk about some missions? I was on the field for some time, but didn't go good in the fundraising department. And I was so shocked that this was part of it, but there was tons of money being pushed behind some people and the results seemed to be minimal, but no one liked to talk about this. Just seemed like a lot of untruthfulness, exaggeration, and BS, to be honest. It is. Not in every situation, certainly. Well, of course, clearly, there's some good, missionaries out there trying to do what they think is the work of the Lord, and they're doing it honestly and above board and all that, and that's fine, obviously. So anyway, that's talk about missions. I mean, I went on missions trips. I led missions trips. Yeah. Let's see. Her question goes on. Same as I imagine amongst pastors, they must realize that things are not happening with healing and well, of course, like never. That doesn't happen. There's no such thing. They find excuses so they can keep their jobs and ministries. It can be quite lucrative financially. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, if you're a good communicator, yeah, doing the church thing can be lucrative. But let me again, I always have to be fair and honest according to what I know. Most pastors are not living high on the hog. I mean, they're just not. Okay. I had a church of 300. Just so you know, this is some inside information. Typically, whatever church that you see, they bring in $10,000 a month for every 100 people in the church. So I had a church of 300, so that means we brought in 30,000 every month. $30,000, for mortgage, for all the stuff, right? Just all the stuff, salaries, and you know what I mean? And some of you probably watching, you make $30,000 a week or a month, and then maybe some of you make $30,000 a year, right? I mean, there's incomes like all over the place, right? But when you're trying to run a 300 people church, a 300 person church, $30,000 isn't all that much. There's just a lot to do, right? I mean, just the rent alone was big. So, I don't want to sound like I'm on the side of the religious groups at this point, but no. pastors aren't getting rich, not unless they are, well, dadgum, I closed the freaking window because it got cloudy, and then I open it and it's just going back and forth. It just makes my shirt look striped, I guess. It's cool. So yeah, I mean, like, no, pastors aren't getting rich. But yeah, any pastor that you see, honestly, with where our church was at the time, again, when I was a pastor, 300 at 30,000 a month. I'll tell you where you definitely can. The pastor can be balling is, clearly in the mega churches, obviously. But if you get to 1,000 people, even 500 people, because that's $50,000 a month with 500 people, you can be balling pretty good there too. But where you really start balling is at 1,000 people. When your church reaches 1,000 people and you've got $100,000 a month coming in, you can be rolling, because at $100,000 a month coming in, the pastor can be easily making, and does make 100 to 200,000 a year, right? So if you're bringing in $100,000 a month, the pastor's making a minimum 10 grand a month, and often more, especially in the Word of Faith churches. The Word of Faith churches, like 90% of what comes into the church. No, scratch that. That's not true. Sometimes 50% of what's coming into a church like that is going to the pastor and maybe his secretary, but obviously he's making the most. You know what I mean? So there you go. Oh man, we watch both of these shows to appreciate your content. I'm not sure what they're talking about. Maybe they're referring to some videos. Johnny is making this comment. Johnny R19703. He appreciates the content, and adding this little diversity to your channel sounds interesting and fun. Oh, that's me doing other videos about other things for fun. Life does seem like a friggin' social experiment for sure. Okay, this one's great. His name's Bigfoot's Unicorn Ranch is his screen name. And he said, "What's it like being a gentleman of our vintage with a full head of hair? I stopped having to comb mine about 25 years ago. The Lord bless me." Yeah, that's what I would have thought, and what I would have said back when I was a Christian, that, it's good, clean living is why the Lord left me with my hair. What is that phrase? I don't mind if it turns, because someone asked me about, is it turning gray? And I'm like, well, I definitely have some gray. I said, well, as long as I don't mind it turning gray, as long as it don't turn loose. All right. They want me to cover textual criticism. Man, that's from Stephen Smith, 7268. Great idea. I would have been more interested in that when I actually believed in the Bible. So, though it's a great idea, that's a great idea, I'm just not into the textual criticism as much. But as you know, I do some videos where I talk about certain verses and certain scriptures, and I'll do that, still, because, I love, I'd like to talk about the story of Job. All the stories, I've covered all of them, not all of them, but I mean, I've covered, when I was a preacher, I taught all of them, over the 30 years. And there's not really anything that I hadn't taught, except for the things that were effed up, right? I didn't talk about how the Bible supports slavery. I left that alone. Or how women are supposed to keep silent in the church, and a woman can't be the head over a man. The man's the head of the women, the woman, right? And God's the head of the church, and we's the head of the women. Obviously, I stayed away from all that stuff because I didn't want to, I just stayed away from that stuff. I just stayed away from this stuff. Alex, Alex Dieter, I think, 8237. Basically, breakdown of my own sermons. Basically, I get that question a lot, actually. If I would like debunk myself. Again, I don't edit, so I haven't done that yet. But yes, there are sermons out there online of me preaching, and that will be fun to debunk myself. But, I don't edit, so I haven't done that yet. All right, Gay Williams 7163 says, we also have other interests outside of religion. Would be interesting to hear you discuss various topics. Thank you. Yep, I thought it'd be fun. I'm genuinely curious. This is from Rain0069. I'm genuinely curious to know how much money it takes to maintain a church. Oh, I inadvertently covered that just a minute ago. I personally never seen a low maintenance one, even in sketchy communities. Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's dear Lord. Goodness gracious, I guess I just need to leave it closed and stop effing with it. Yeah, there you go. Pretty much, it's pretty standard that most churches what is it, 70 to 80%, even up to 90% of a church's income goes to salaries, as well as probably rent or whatever. But yeah. So if you're a Christian, very rarely do churches really let the finances be known to the people in the church, because they're giving their tithe or their offering to the church, and they don't know where that money. They don't know. The pastor doesn't tell them like what they make. I knew of one church that actually got in trouble for this. The church was small. It was about 200 people, which means they were bringing in about $20,000 a month. The pastor himself, was bringing in, I think, 70% of that. He was bringing in like $15,000 a month to himself, paying himself, and then everybody else was like basically volunteer. That was a Word of Faith church, the health and wealth gospel church. Yeah. I unfortunately I worked at that church. That's how I knew that. That's how I found out that inside information, that the pastor, and I worked there and I was paid peanuts, but the pastor was rolling. Like he was rolling. Robert Adams, 5870. Robert from Atlanta, Georgia. How do you feel about nihilism? Nihilism, I think, isn't that when you have the belief that to die means to be cessation of life, meaning at death, it's just lights out, it's over, that's it, right? I think it's a lot about what the rumble and tumble is with Kirk Cameron? So yeah, anyway. Well, how do I feel about it? I don't know. He says it might be a pretty good video. I appreciate that. You have definitely helped me out when it comes to stepping away from faith. Oh, that's cool. Love what you're trying to do, man. Thanks. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Robert from Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia. I have a friend that has a church in Atlanta, Georgia. I'd almost want to mention it publicly, but I better not. But yeah, no, I have like a good friend who pastors actually a big church in Atlanta, Georgia. Um, so yeah, if you want to know and you live in Atlanta, Georgia, you want to go visit and go talk to the pastor and tell him say, I know Timmy Gibson. Do you know Timmy Gibson? He'll have good things to say about me. But he might say, yeah, he lost. My brother's lost right now. Okay. What's your opinion on rich versus the homelessness in the U.S.? No, this is from Luciferian 216. I don't know, man. I don't know. Rich versus the homeless. I don't know. I don't know what I think about that, to be honest with you guys. Well, I can tell you this. I mean, obviously, I have an opinion about everything, like literally everything. Seriously, I'm pretty opinionated, though I don't share my opinion even here about everything. I kind of keep it on track of what this channel is all about. But I'm like most everybody. I have an opinion. So, what's my opinion on the rich versus the homeless? Okay, you asked. I do have this, as a business owner, right? I should be free to build my business as big as I want to grow it and get wealthy from it. You know what I mean? I mean, I think that should be what goes on in the world. And my business is quite unique because, it's just me as a wedding officiant. So, if I want to do 1,000 weddings in a year, I can make really great money, right? And, I personally do nearly a 50-50 split, sometimes 60-40, when someone books my company to do a wedding and I hire an officiant to go do a wedding. I have people that I have on my team, and I'll do a 50-50 or 60-40. Depends, obviously. I don't need to get into my business, but just how my company works. But that's fair. It's not how big businesses work. Like they don't split with their people 50-50, or even 60-40. Obviously I've got to pay for everything on the back end, all the advertising and all the stuff that I do. But still, I have a great team, and they love doing it because, it's not. Well, anyway, they go and do a wedding and then they're home, and when you look at that hourly, it's phenomenal, right? But I don't have 40 hours of work per week to give someone. So, all of my officiants, they all have jobs, and they just do weddings for me on the side, right? So I can't hire anybody as an employee. There's not enough work. I run everything just myself from home. And I should be able, like if I want to work more, do more, then I should be able to make more, right? So, I have mixed emotions about rich. Now, when it comes to like companies, like all the debacle stuff that's gone on before, where it's profit over the person, no, I'm not down for that. I'm not down for a company to be more about profit than it is about actually caring for the people. And now you got me on a hobby horse here, because I have strong opinions about this. One is, how much money do you need to live? You know what I mean? I do wonder that. It's like, how much should a football player make? Or anybody. Like, it's like, how much money is enough? And especially when I think of corporations, where the person at the top is literally making millions, while the people that are actually on the ground making it possible for this person to make millions, can't afford rent. I definitely have my opinions about that. I really have strong opinions about that. I think things should be fair, and those that work hard should benefit from that, and those that don't work hard, you know, I mean, right? Like, I'm a big believer in, you know, not rewarding the lazy. I definitely don't believe in that. So, it's all a balance, right? I mean, it really is a balance. How is it that the top person at a company, is just rolling big time, while everyone else, again, is barely can pay rent. I don't. Here's what I think. Okay, I think that now, when you're in high school, you work at places, and I'm not talking about like that kind of stuff, entry level work that all of us have done at some point in our life. But if you're working full time for some place, full time, whatever, 36 to 45 hours, you should be able to live on this planet. You know what I mean? Like, you should be able to function and live on this planet. And especially if you're partnered with someone and both of you are working full time, you should be able to make it in this world, right? So, I think that is critically important. Oh, what was going on? Oh, someone's trash is blown over into our yard. Sorry, guys. Literally, saw my neighbor walking by, coming up to the door, and I was like, oh, great. What a time for someone to come up to my door while I'm making a video. Anyway, so I don't know, man. I have concerns about things like that. But again, if someone's working full time, they should be able to live on this planet and function and feed themselves and all the stuff. I just think that's just my opinion right now. Again, I'm reading these off the cuff. Homelessness. Gosh, if I knew how to fix that, right? I don't know. One of the officiants on my team actually works with the homeless, and I was talking to her recently. And, part of the challenge with homelessness, and I don't know if you guys know this, but when I was a pastor, I actually spent 24 hours homeless every year as a, what do you call it? I called it walking in the shoes of the homeless. Anyway, and I slept outside under a bridge and begged for food or begged for whatever. I did that it was 24 hours, one time a year, every year. Did it for 12 years with some other members of the church. I think one year we had 12 of us that did it. It was very insightful. But everything I'm going to say here in a second, it was all confirmed by this young lady that works in that world right now. And she was saying, part of the challenge of working with the homeless is there's two main issues. One, drug addiction, and secondly, mental issues. And she said, oftentimes both of those are present. So, I really, gosh, guys, like this is such a serious question. I just don't know what can be done. Like, something should be done, but God bless them, I don't know what that answer is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, can you build a huge homeless like hotel where it's just for the homeless, and will that turn into a complete shit show? you would, you know what I mean? Like it's like easy to give out answers. You know, you'll see people, we need to provide housing for the homeless. Like, okay, you know, I would imagine that's harder or easier said than done. You know, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. You know, there's a part of me that feels like we definitely need to do more and provide. I wish no one was actually homeless. You know, some people, despite what you might think, they want to be homeless. And by that, what I mean is that, you know, their lifestyle is only like if they had a place, they wouldn't pay rent, and they might even end up burning it down just because of their lifestyle and the way they live. You know what I mean? Like, where would you put a homeless hotel? Like, where would you put it? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Like, for real, custom discuss below. Maybe you have the answer. If you have the answer, you need to contact your state legislation, right? Like, I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. I don't. But I feel like there needs to be more. I feel like clearly we could definitely do better. I don't know, man. I really just don't. I don't have an answer for all of that. You know, I don't know. I don't know. That's a great question that I just don't know. I just don't have the answer. I wish I did. I wish I did. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wish I could be like, guys, I have the answer for homelessness. And I can fix the problem with the rich. You know, I don't know. Oh, goodness. Cindy, Minnesota. This Cuss and Discuss is really good. You speak about things we need to know. Do you know if there's any way of bringing your family back to you after you were a terrible to them because you followed Christianity to the extreme, trying to please God and the world? They ended up hurting the ones they love the most. Okay, I didn't understand that at first. Yeah, so I think what Cindy, Minnesota is saying here is that, I think I'm reading into this right. So she was a hardcore Christian, and that's how she raised her family, and it kind of turned them away from her. Repent, right? Like, say sorry. That would be huge, right? Because you just don't get that. You don't get that. You just don't get that. Because, like, you just don't. People usually don't circle back around when they correct their ways. They usually don't circle back around and say, "I'm sorry." I've done it on my video, on my show. I've said, you know, I didn't know. I was sincere, but clearly now I understand sincerely wrong. So that's what I think. I would just go to them and say, "Hey, you know, I realize now that was wrong, and sorry." You know, I guess. Good. Discuss below. Sorry, I'm not tired. I just yawned. All right. I really appreciate you. Do you talk politics on your channel? Oh, that's you don't talk about politics on your channel. Well, thank you. The Coffee Cove 81. I appreciate that. Yeah, why don't I talk about politics? That's the question I just heard in my head. Probably because I just really I don't know anything about it. You know what I mean? Really, I just don't. I mean, in all honesty, I'm just not political. You know, I vote, but that's about it. I don't. Well, here's what I would say. I'm never going to start talking about politics on my channel. It doesn't interest me, right? It's not something I'm interested in. But I just have to say this because it came to my mind. I do think we need to get rid of the two-party system. Like, if I could change the political system, I would, one, the government needs to be a lot smaller. That's a give me. I think most people think that. But I would say either A, bring in a third political party and not have it be so narrow. Maybe, you know, maybe you have Republican, Democrat, and then, you know, what they call independent, but actually have it be a viable, where an actual, like an independent could actually win. But even that, like my first thought is, no, scratch the political parties and just have 3 or 4 candidates, and may the best person win. Like, that's it. Like, whoever gets the most actual votes wins. That's it. Like, to me, it's just that simple. Because the thing I don't like about political stuff is, you know, if you're Democrat, that means you believe this, this. And if you're Republican, that means you mean right? And most people aren't like that, right? Most people are like, well, I'm this and this, and then over here I'm this, this, and this, and then, you know, we're free thinkers. I don't align with everything over here, and I don't align with everything over here, like completely or exclusively. So it makes it difficult, right? Because it's like, yeah, I mean, I agree with most of those things, but then this one thing I have a different opinion of, right? Again, I've said this publicly. I think our political parties, it's cults. They're cults. You're either you're a Democratic, a cult, you're a Democrat cult, or you're a Republican cult person. You know what I mean? It's what kind of what got us into the mess we're in. You know, it's like if you're Republican, you got to believe in this guy, and it's like, you know, no, right? And it's like, if you're over here, you have to support this person and not recognize that they're declining in their mental capacities. You have to just it's like, I can have my opinions about both. And so yeah, I don't like the binary system. I just don't like that at all. I just don't like it. Don't agree with it. Don't think it's healthy. Don't think it's right. And I don't think it works. I just don't think it works. That's just my opinion. Take it or leave it. I don't give a fuck. Cuss and discuss down below if you want. The corroded metalhead. I've never heard you mention Ray Boltz. I forget about his story. I do know the song that he did. What's that famous Ray Boltz song about heaven? Gosh, it's almost on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think about it. But I forget what Ray Boltz's story was. I can't remember. There's a couple things that are popping in my mind, but I'm not really. I know who Ray Boltz is or was. He died, right? Right or not? Anyway, don't start that rumor if he's not dead. Oh, Blaine. Oh, Blaine Bartell. Yeah, I actually knew that dude. He was a pastor at Church on the Move. He was the youth pastor at Church on the Move in Tulsa, Oklahoma, who ran the 180 program. Blaine Bartell. I actually knew that. I didn't know him, like I wasn't friends with him, but I knew him because I was in Tulsa. I had met him. And I think he ended up having an affair of some sort. And I don't know what he's doing now. But he got dethroned. And in fact, and I can't even think of this guy's name. The guy that took over. So when Blaine Bartell got fired or got let go or was pressured to quit his youth pastor position, the guy that took over ended up being a piece of shit too. And not that Blaine Bartell's a piece of shit. I don't know him. But being involved in scandals too. That's actually more fair. And the guy that took over from Blaine Bartell, I can't think of his name right now, but he's a goofball. And like I said, I did know him. He was just a weirdo. He thought he was God's gift. The guy was a piece of work. So yeah, that's my thoughts on them. I don't have many thoughts on them except what I just said. Do believers feel more interesting in regard to why they believe something? Atheist agnostics have compelling logic, but do some of the believers' reasoning ever interest you? I'm not sure I understand pandemonium N9B. Do believers feel more interesting in regard to why they believe something? I don't know. I mean, do they feel more interesting? I think they feel it's all faith. That's like all it is. It's, you know what I mean? It's like, again, I've said this in other shows and I'll probably use it to nauseum, but it's like if I said, guys, I have a purple dragon in my backyard. You should believe it and join the church of the purple dragon that lives in Timmy's backyard. Timmy's the prophet of that dragon, right? Speaks for the dragon. I mean, it's that. It's just that, but on a larger scale. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying now. So atheist agnostics have compelling logics, but do some of the believers' reasoning ever interest you? That's actually a good question. Not really outside of the one thing that I probably struggled with the most was the whole evolution thing. You know, the fact of evolution, that we've evolved over millions of years and billions of years, right? I think the thing that I struggle with the most was how could all of this be without something having started it, like God, right? Like, obviously I don't believe that now. I'm just saying that in my deconstruction process, that was like so hard for me to reconcile. Because it's like this mug, right? It's like clearly this mug is put together and holds coffee. Oh, and has writing on it and different things. Like clearly this was made, right? Like it had to have a maker. And so that's I think the one argument that took me the longest to kind of work through is that it's, what do they call that? It's not intuitive. Is that how they word it? It's it's different than what you would intuit, or it's different than what you would, like, that just makes sense. Like this clearly didn't just like fucking grow out of the earth, right? Someone made this, right? And so I think that was the part that I struggle with the most in leaving religion is wrapping my mind around that. How did all of this come into being? And I still don't understand it fully, but when you think about the length of time, it's unimaginable, right? Billions of years, even thousands of years, but like billions, even millions of years, that's unimaginable. It's hard to even wrap your mind around that a Homo sapien like us existed on this earth. Like they're still uncovering all of this, but it keeps getting pushed back further. And I think it's safe to say that Homo sapiens have been on the earth 300 plus thousand years. I think I can say that without any pushback at all. It used to be 100,000, right? And then it keeps getting pushed back as we discover more and more. Like it could be that Homo sapiens actually arrived in the evolutionary story potentially 1,000,000 years ago. That's crazy. Can you imagine what a Homo sapien, if we could go back 1 million years, what they would be like, how they would think and act and do, and right? And I mean, just come on. They wouldn't have thought, there was no Bible. There was no God, no Jesus, none of that stuff was made up yet. Like, they would have just been freaking hunting for their food and, like, you know what I mean? Anyway, I got off track, but that's the only argument that I think that's I guess, if you want, what interests me is I find that very interesting, all of that. And then JB-HS8 me. That's interesting. Have you ever had faith? Have I ever had faith? Tanner from Texas. How many people do you think actually believe in God? I mean, really believe. Like, they don't just say it, they really believe it. Yeah, and he says, I bet the number's quite low. Probably, man. His name is Tanman7879. Yeah, I'm with you. And you could tell by the way people live, right? It's like, if they really believed certain things were going to doom them to hell, and yet you know what I mean? It's like the pastors that are preaching one thing, and then behind closed doors, they got prostitutes and all the things going on. Like, it's like, do they really believe it? Like, doesn't seem like they believe it, right? Your actions speak louder than your words. Christians, and I was one. And so, like, you say whatever the fuck you want to say. I lived this life for 48 years, and I can't tell you, Christians are not all Christians. Maybe you're one of the few that's super sweet and you live according to what you say. Great, good for you. Yay, high five. Most Christians are just talk. They're just talk. I pastored a church of 300 people. It's just talk. It's just talk. That's it. It doesn't matter. They're just saying shit. They're just signaling with their words. They're not living their life that way. Even the motherfuckers that wrote books about this shit ended up getting caught in a scandal. Some motherfucker wrote a book, some pastor dude wrote a fucking book about integrity, and wrote a book about what you are behind closed doors, or what you are when no one's looking, or whatever. And then this motherfucker was engaged in sexual shit. It's like, and you're going to try to tell me he really believed it? Now, I know also the rebuttal to that, right? Because, I really did believe it. But trust me, I didn't live no little angel life. But I still would have told you that I believed it. Yet, I gave in to my flesh, the hungers and the desires of my flesh. Christianity is it's just a joke. Stephen Williams, dear Lord, I'm not going through these very fast, am I? I need to zoom through these. A video on the crazy things said in the Bible. Yeah, that's a good one. I should do that. Stephen Williams, 4406. Good idea. That's a great idea. Like an awesome idea. I will do that. How convinced were you about healing miracles versus laying on of hands? And this is from Geranium Z-Bar or something. It's a joke, dude. Divine healing, it's not real. None of it's real. It's not real. Laying hands on people, it's a gesture. Even now as an atheist, I've had friends that are going through a tough time, and I'll put my hand on their shoulder and be like, man, I'm thinking about you, and I'm hoping everything can go well and turn around. I hope it goes well. You know what I mean? That's just being human. But, is there any mystical magic in that? No. Is there personal comfort that might be received from that person? Well, probably, yeah, of course, right? I mean, of course. Hey, Timmy, please check out the story of Achaean Kramaric and how she saw Jesus when she was a child. She didn't fucking see Jesus. Her paintings of him are incredible. Do you believe her or not? Well, this comes from No to Digital ID. No, I don't believe that. Of course that's fucking bullshit. Like, Jan Solo 4853, hello. Thanks for opening up a forum for questions. Do you have any advice for those deconstructing and having to break the bad news to family and friends from church? You know, man, I have mixed emotions about that. I don't know if you really do break the news. You know, you just kind of slip away. I don't know. I don't know, man. Cuss and discuss on this one. You know, mine was like a slow and gradual. You know, it just doesn't come up in my life. You know, I don't have to tell somebody like, hey, I walked away from Christianity. You know what I mean? That's just not who I am as a human overall. You know, I don't throw it in people's faces that I'm atheist, or if someone says something about God, I'm like, you know, he doesn't exist, right? I don't give a shit. Like, people can believe whatever they want to believe, and they do. And I don't need to try to correct them, right? I just don't function that way. So I don't know if you need to really like come out to your church and whatever. It sounds like this must be a tiny church, is what my gut is telling me, is that you're a part of a fucking small little church. And if you leave, you know, they'll be down by 50% on that Sunday. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess you could if you wanted to do like some kind of an exit interview, which will just be fucking torment. But I guess, you know, whatever. You can go in there and just tell the pastor, hey, listen, I've appreciated being a part of this church for the time that I was. You know, my beliefs are changing, and I just don't see this being a fit anymore. It's kind of like a breakup, right? It's not me, or it's not you, it's me. That's true, right? It's not you, it's me. I no longer believe in this horse shit, so I'm leaving. And coming out to your friends, I don't know, man. I don't know. Seriously, cuss and discuss this down below. I don't find that to be helpful. Like, you know, like coming out. Like, hey, everybody, gather around. Guess what? I'm a motherfucking atheist now. I just wanted to tell you, right? I don't know, man. I don't know. By the way, I hope you're enjoying this. This is a spitball. This is not going to come out. Man, it is windy here in Kansas City. I'm not sure this video is going to even get that many views, to be honest, if I'm honest. That's why it's not coming out on my typical Wednesday or Sunday. But I was going to try to cover some of these questions in here, and this is what I ended up doing, and we're about at an hour. So clearly, the only people going to watch this are the people that really love me. Hi, Mom. Okay, let's keep going here. Have you read John Fulgerson's book, and what do you think about it? I haven't read it, so I don't have any thoughts. That's from Scott Rohan. I'm sorry, I've not read it. Linda, I want to hear about how the church is all about money, how rich preachers really are, even the smallest church, how rich the preacher is, all the way up to the mega churches. Well, I covered that earlier in this video, so I answered your question, and actually I covered it in pretty good detail. Next one, do you have a spiritual practice, a soothing of sorts, not a religious practice, but something you do to ground yourself? You know, I still believe in meditation. I journal. I get up early and I like it to be quiet, or I go on walks. You know, I play tennis. So yeah, you know, I don't need a God to fucking quiet my mind or to seek answers as I quiet my mind. I don't believe those answers are coming from necessarily outside myself, per se. They're just coming from within. Something interesting that Michael Jackson said, even Post Malone, who's my favorite musical artist, by the way. Whoever custom discuss that. Who's your favorite musician or artist? Mine's by far Post Malone. Post Malone's the bomb. I love Post Malone. If you're watching Posty, what's up, brother? And I love your new country stuff. I'm not a country guy, but I love Post and I love his country music. It's so freaking good. Yeah, I love good music. But yeah, I just don't need a God. And what I was going to say about Post Malone and Michael Jackson and different people have said this, that songs will just come to them. Well, I mean, are they? Now we're going to get are they literally coming from outside? Like when Post Malone gets a song, or Michael Jackson used to say this. Michael Jackson actually said this a lot, I think. His songs would just come to him. Like he would download them, is how he kind of, I guess, as I've heard people talk about it. Like they just get downloads. They just have this idea and they pull it down and write it out. Right? People talk about that when they write books, which, by the way, I am writing my book. It's going to be a memoir. I'm working on it. I really am. I'm working on it. Man, I had to get through this deconstruction process first to really be able to write it, because I started writing a book years ago. You guys want to laugh? So I literally wrote a book and I published it myself years ago, like 30 years ago, nearly. And it was called Cool to Be a Christian by Timmy Gibson. I still have a few copies. It was a mini book. It was like a mini book. Anyway, I should republish it and sell it to you all so you can laugh. I'll autograph it. If anybody's interested, custom discuss below. An autographed copy of a Christian book that a Christian pastor wrote who's now atheist. That actually could be like hotcakes. I wish it was handy right now. I'd just pull it up and show it to you. It had a really cool cover. I had really good graphics on it. It was pretty dope. Okay, so yeah, I do the songs, do the poems. Does the art come from out there somewhere into someone's mind, or is it actually out there, meaning out there in their brain somewhere, and the thought just comes to them? I don't know, man. What I honestly believe is that no, it doesn't come from outside. It's not like it's floating around in space and all of a sudden your little human antenna picks it up. But, how could I know that? I don't know that. I just know where my own thoughts come from. They just come from my own mind. Like this, like stuff I do and all the videos that I do. And, I keep pumping out these videos. Just thoughts come to me. Like, ooh, talk about that. I'm like, ooh, that's a good one, But I would say that's just coming from me, from myself, from my 56 years on this planet. Thoughts are just coming to me. Why doesn't a 3-year-old write a number one hit song? Well, they haven't had enough experiences, right, to have the thoughts yet, I guess. I don't know. Again, custom discuss. What do you think? Oh, this is a good one. James Bond, SR7FW says, so are you going to go to all them people you preach to and say, oops, maybe I was wrong? Oh, I did that. I mean, sure, you do it through this channel. No, I've done it. But what about folks where you've lived? Hello from Miami, Florida. Hello, James. James Bond. That's a cool name. It's surely not your real name. If it is, that's dope. Sounds famous. Who are you? Bond. James Bond. Like, really, check my ID. So, yeah, no, I've done that. not via, I've done it via this channel too, but I've done it on a private Facebook group that I had with all the people, all the church people in it. I did a video for all those that were a member of the church Facebook group that I once had. And I did a video and just said, hey, sorry, I don't believe any of this stuff anymore. All the stuff I taught, keep the stuff that was good, right? Be kind to others, be generous, be thoughtful, be respectful, honor, like all the things that I also said. Those things I'm still supportive of and glad I said. But all the stuff I said, like you can't have a good life without God, bullshit. You can't go to heaven unless you're saved by Jesus, fucking bullshit. There is no heaven as far as we know, no evidence of it. So yeah, good question, brother. Lauren Noy, B539 says, hey, hello from New York. Hey, New York, cool. Man, if I had, so just a little dream I have, I should do a separate video about this, but one of the dreams, I would love to go on tour and speak in coffee shops. If you're in a city that you think you could rally up enough atheists or agnostics or those going through the deconstruction process, and man, I would definitely come in. Like I would. I'd fly in and or drive in wherever it is, and set up shop at a coffee shop. I don't know how that works, if they have a private room or we could rent it out before they open, and everybody could have coffee and we could have a conversation. I'd love to do that. I'd totally be down to do that. I'd love to do that. Like that's why I want to finish my book, because I'd love to go on a book tour, go around all the city and meet all of you guys. That'd be dope. Just ask God to reveal himself to you. He will. And that was Jeshua Lives. Thank you, brother. Oh, that's funny. John Blair 7611. My thought, your past made you a very dynamic speaker. One positive from an unfortunate situation. I agree. For real. I couldn't be doing what I'm doing without that. For example, Leah Remini, actively trying to end Scientology, credits that to her upbringing, not being nervous all during early script readings for King of Queens. That all fascinated me. Yeah, me too. Yeah, no, 100%. If I could change my past, why would I? I wouldn't. One, you can't do that. So it's hypothetical, but you can't. You can't change your past. You can only learn from it, grow from it. So no, I wouldn't change my past. I just, because you can't. So plus if I changed my past, then I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be probably doing this, and I wouldn't be married to my beautiful wife. And I wouldn't have my kids, and you know what I mean? There's just so many things. So no, I wouldn't change my life. Now, do I have things that I wish I wouldn't have done? Well, duh, right? I mean but again, it's all made me and brought me to this place in my life, and I'm very happy where I'm at. I'm, genuinely, I really, I'm a human just like everybody else. I have, good days. I have bad days. I have, good things, bad things. I mean, I'm human. But I can just tell you, I'm extremely fulfilled. I live a life of meaning, purpose, a lot of good friends and relationships. And so there is that. Oh, this is from Carol N. Gartner, 6865. I'd like to have you talk about the healthy forms of Christianity. Oh, gosh. I mean, they're just like anything. Obviously, I have Christians in my life right now who are healthy, well-adjusted, believe in science, and also believe in a God. That'd be healthy Christianity. So here's what I would say, since you asked. This is the only time I'll probably talk about it. Healthy forms of Christianity would be people that just aren't nutballs. They can believe in a God and believe even that Jesus, whatever, they can believe that stuff, though it's not true. They can believe that stuff. Just don't try to press it and make other people believe it the way you believe. Don't tell other people they're wrong and going to hell. And, or that if you give the church, the pastor money, then, God will inadvertently bless your life, because that's literally empirically false. It's not true. When something's true, you don't need to try to get people to believe it by faith. If it's true, it's just fucking true. You don't, the end. So, and how could anything be healthy when it's built on lies? So, is there even any healthy version of Christianity? Well, I mean, if you're believing things to be true that aren't true, how is that healthy? I don't know. I don't think it is. But thank you, Carol. Why do some people get lots of tattoos? Because they like them. It's like, why do people grow their hair out? Why do people cut their hair? Why do people wear makeup? Why do people not wear makeup? Why do people have jewelry? Why do people wear watches? Why don't they wear watches? Why do we wear clothes? You know what I mean? Like, some people don't, if you're a nudist. So, like, why people do anything is, for millions of reasons. I did a whole video on my tattoos, why I have tattoos. I've always liked tattoos. I like tattoos. I just think they're cool. Right? That's it. James, WV3HX. Dear Dr. Ammon Hillman says that Jesus was a pedophile. And what's your opinion on that? I'm James from Seal Beach, California. I really enjoy listening to you. Well, thank you, brother. Seriously, thank you. I don't know. I am familiar with that Dr. Ammon Hillman. Honestly, he seems like a little wingnut to me, frankly. I watched a whole interview with him. He's out there, in my opinion. I hadn't even liked that comment yet, so I just did. Yeah. It's a little weird. It's all weird. So that's what I think. There are plenty of channels that talk about politics and science with a wealth of expertise. Just stick with what you do and know best. Agreed. Kelly Dolls Talk 8900. I agree. I'm going to stick to very interesting and entertaining to especially outsiders like me. Thank you, Kelly. This comment just from Melissa Little, it just says false humility. Talking about Christianity. I agree. Amanda. Oh, she's addressing the question that I asked. She goes, please don't start a new channel. You've already built something that's rare and meaningful. You're uniquely positioned as a lifelong former Christian and fundamentalist pastor to talk to other ex-pastors and ex-fundies. You can speak their language and you help the rest of us understand that mind. Oh, that's really sweet. Thank you, Amanda Smith. She writes a bunch more down here. Yeah, just giving ideas, talk about more of the deconstruction, current events, commentary, though, through the lens of how you were as an evangelical and how you are now. Yeah, great. You've got a good thing going. Thank you. You could absolutely grow your audience just by tightening the format. Oh, that's a good thought. Fewer meandering solo rants like this. Oh, that's great. More conversations. Yep. Bring in other voices. Yep. I love it. Love it. Love it. I love it. Got to grow the channel though. Got to grow the channel. Yeah. I mean, thank you. But thank you. Very complimentary question or comment and questions. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Amanda. I appreciate it. And she ends with, you're on the right track. I really appreciate that. All right. Do you still have a heart to love on people? Oh, absolutely. This is from Shulan. It's SHULAMITEMAHANAIM. Thank you. And yeah, no, I totally love people. That's the thing. You guys know me, what I say here. In person, people that know me, even pastor friends, like that. Woo. Can you hear that out there? Like trash cans, several trash cans just blew by. And trash. Oh gosh, this is turning into something not good. Dear Lord. Now I'm going to have to get out in my yard and pick up all of the recycling that just went literally all over the place. I've seen many of your videos, Timmy. This is by Grudges2068. What I was going to say is, people that know me in person would have very kind things to say about me because I'm a very nice person. I really am. I think that's one of the things I like about Post Malone. The rumor about Post Malone is he's just a really neat guy, really nice guy, very kind, very gracious. I hope that's the way I try to live that way. So, like, again, people that know me would tell you that. They'd say, oh, Timmy's a super sweet guy. I've seen so many of your videos, Timmy, and have always wondered how a former pastor knows absolutely nothing about classic Christian theology. Oh, they were trying to slam me there. Hey, I've never claimed to be I got one more question. I've gone through all of them. Yeah, I'm not a Bible scholar. I'm not a theologian. I'm just a Pentecostal preacher. So, in fact, I know more about the Bible now as an atheist than I did ever as a Christian. Like truly the Bible, not the Scripture, not God's Word, but the Bible in general. How it was composed, how it came together, all the alterations, translations, and no eyewitnesses are in the Bible whatsoever. All the things that I've now learned. It took me in my walking away that I really began to study the Bible as a book to see it for what it is. Not true, right? The Bible is not true, is what I mean. All right, and that was from, I already said. The last one, Eddie Hulk, 7805. Talk about this. You are living in the red man's land, Turtle Island, so discuss or teach yourself real religion, only being thankful for Mother Earth. Once you think you're awake, it's still an illusion. Christian or atheist, it's still the same religion. If there's no Bible God, then find truth and turn away from this crap. I don't even know what to say. Timmy's at a loss for words. Yeah, I don't believe in any of the supernatural wild stuff like that. Look at that, my hair. I had a bad hair day. That's why I'm wearing my hat. Yeah, no, all the mysticism, all of that, all ghosts, demons, spirits, all that. I don't believe in any of it. I believe in just natural things. What you see, what we experience, it is what it is. I don't believe there's anything. It's like like when you watch Harry Potter, right? And they're flying around on brooms. Okay, that's fiction, right? And we all understand that as fiction, right? Like you can't fly around on a broom. You just can't. You can't make a witch's brew and like that. I mean, you can make a witch's brew, but it's not like it's literally going to be effective in any kind of thing, right? That's something that you might do for yourself, and all that stuff is fine. I don't have whatever. People do whatever they want to do. We all have rituals and things that we believe in and so forth. But I don't believe there's any mystical thing, I don't believe in any of that. So there you go. All right, I did it. I went through the whole video. That way I got it all done in one video here. We just went through 100 questions and that was awesome. So thank you for watching. Again, I don't expect this video to get more than 100 views probably. So the 100 people that actually responded and asked the questions. So there you go, guys. That's my thought on the video that I posted where it's Ask Timmy. If you did ask one of those questions, and I'm on my computer, I just went through every one of them. Obviously, there was 103 comments. That means comments under comments under comments. So I obviously didn't go through all, like one of these has like 40 replies to a question. So I'm not going to go through each of those to go through, but there you go. That's my thoughts. That's what I'm thinking today in the year 2025. I can't wait till 2026. I got a lot of good stuff coming. Don't forget, I do have a Facebook group if you want to join the community. It's called Timmy's Deconstruction Community. We have a lot of good people in there from all around the world. And it's a it's just a great community. It's for atheists, agnostics, those going through the deconstruction process. It's just not for Christians. So there you go. Thanks, guys. Peace.